The movie starts with a scene of a plane. In that plane, a girl named Kyra is traveling with her mother to Russia. During the journey, she falls asleep. When she wakes up, she notices something is wrong with the plane. As she looks around, she realizes her mother is missing. Just then, there's an announcement that the plane is making an emergency landing. Kyra becomes very nervous. She turns back to look for her mother and sees an old woman sitting in the seat behind her. The old woman is chanting some spells. Suddenly, the old woman's eyes turn white. Seeing this, Kyra gets very scared and loses consciousness. Suddenly, the plane's engine catches fire. After that, the plane gets destroyed and crashes down. Everyone on board dies in the accident, but Kyra alone survives. Because of this, the news everywhere highlights Kyra. Next, the story moves to 20 years later. In that scene, Kyra is married and has a daughter. But even today, reporters keep disturbing her for interviews about the incident. When Kyra is with her daughter, a news reporter approaches and asks her about the plane accident that happened 20 years ago. Kyra replies that she has forgotten about that accident now. After this, Kyra and her daughter go to the airport. She takes her daughter to her grandfather. After seeing the plane, it's revealed that many seats are empty. Then Kyra's daughter says she wants to sit in the last seat. Kyra tells her that it's someone else's seat and not to sit there. Before boarding, Kyra and her daughter meet a news reporter. After finding out that the weather is bad, Kyra becomes very worried. The news reporter tells her not to worry, that nothing will happen, and that everything will go well and the weather will also improve. Later, Kyra notices some noise coming from the last row. Actually, an old woman is feeling sick. She is anxious about traveling by plane. But since Kyra is a psychiatrist, she goes and takes care of the old woman. She gives her some medicine to help her calm down, and Kyra also takes the same medicine. Then we see a businessman sitting in the next row. He notices a boy sitting beside him, who is an artist and is doing some painting. After that, the plane starts moving to take off into the sky. While Kyra is in the washroom, she hears her mother's voice. When she opens the door, she enters a house, the house where Kyra and her mother once lived. She looks around the entire house. When she opens the door to leave, she suddenly finds herself back in the plane. Seeing this, Kyra is very surprised. When she moves forward a bit, she notices the emergency exit door is blocked. Just then, the air hostess arrives and asks Kyra to sit back in her seat. Later, the reporter tries to ask Kyra why she's so worried, but she doesn't answer any of his questions. However, Kyra's daughter starts talking about the plane accident. After a while, the clouds turn red. The strange thing is that hands begin to appear on all the plane's windows. Kyra also falls asleep again and has another dream. In this dream, Kyra sees her childhood. She is sitting with her mother, eating food. This scene takes place after the plane accident. Kyra asks her mother if the mark on her leg will go away soon. Her mother responds that she doesn't know, and the mark might stay on her leg forever without disappearing. Later, Kyra looks into the mirror in front of her. In the mirror, her mother looks very ugly. Kyra then asks her mother if she died in the plane accident. Upon hearing this, her mother feels sad and goes to Kyra, telling her not to ask such stupid questions, as it's been 3 months since the plane accident. While her mother is cleaning dishes, Kyra hears the sound of something sinking. When Kyra looks at her mother, she notices her head moving strangely. Her mother turns her head badly and looks at her. Kyra wakes up from this terrifying dream, now feeling very scared. Suddenly, the plane shakes slightly, making all the passengers nervous. Then, the old woman's husband becomes sick and loses consciousness. The air hostess and some passengers rush to help him. Later, Kyra tries to give him CPR, and he immediately regains consciousness, but his eyes also turn white. He starts shaking, and suddenly he gets up and grabs Kyra. He whispers some chants in her ear. After doing this, he falls back down. Kyra is terrified because she sees the white eyes again. She thinks back to her childhood when she saw the old woman's eyes turn white, and now, again, she is witnessing the same thing. While she's lost in thought, a hand appears behind the reporter. This causes Kyra to fall deep into her thoughts. Just then, the old man dies. Due to the bad weather, the plane loses control. The air hostess instructs everyone to sit back in their seats and put on their oxygen masks. While she is going to the passengers, the plane shakes again, and she hits the plane's roof and falls down, losing consciousness right there. After that, Kyra starts losing consciousness slowly due to low oxygen levels. She sees the old woman again. After some time, Kyra regains consciousness, and the plane comes back under control. Immediately, Kyra gets up and rushes to her daughter, who is crying a lot. Kyra comforts her daughter. Just then, the reporter approaches Kyra and suddenly asks her what happened to her. Kyra tells him that just before the plane accident happened when she was young, she saw an old woman. Her eyes were white, and she was chanting some mantras. Similarly, the old woman's husband whispered those same mantras into her ear. Kyra continues, saying the old woman was upset with her because everyone else died in the plane accident, except for her. Kyra believes that the old woman's spirit now wants to kill her. After hearing this, the reporter tells her not to worry or overthink. He also advises her to stop taking the medicine she's using, as it might be causing her hallucinations. He assures her that her thoughts have no relation to reality. Kyra then goes to her daughter, who is drawing. In her drawing, she includes seat number 19. The daughter says that she will sit in that seat. Kyra tells her not to. Just before the plane takes off, Kyra hears her mother's voice. She feels that her mother wants to warn her about something. The businessman tells the artist that he has been traveling for a week and now wants to go back to his family. He shows the artist a family photo on his mobile. However, the artist behaves a bit differently and is too busy drawing, not paying attention to the photo. It is then revealed that the businessman is the one being drawn by the artist. Kyra notices her daughter talking to someone in the seat behind her. But when Kyra looks again, there's no one sitting in the back seat. When Kyra asks, her daughter says a girl was sitting in the back seat and told her that her mother would leave her. Hearing this, Kyra hugs her daughter and says, "My dear, I will never leave you." Just then, the air hostess arrives and says that due to the storm, the plane will land in Nova. This place is where Kyra was supposed to go with her mother 20 years ago. Kyra starts suspecting the air hostess because she didn't inform the pilot about the old man's death. A little while later, a bottle begins leaking under the businessman's seat. After that, the businessman lights a cigarette and Kyra realizes what's happening. She gets very tense and immediately stands up. But by then, it's too late. The businessman lights his lighter and the gas catches fire. The businessman burns in the flames. Kyra then sees a brown face in the flames, shouting at her. Immediately, the air hostess rushes to extinguish the flames. While the businessman's life is saved, his body gets completely burned. Just then, Kyra sees a shadow approaching her daughter. After seeing this, Kyra moves towards her daughter, but as she moves forward, she sees herself sitting in her place. This causes her to go into a deep thought. She then finds herself traveling one day ahead in the plane. There, she is sitting with her daughter. Kyra notices a mark on her leg, which is from an injury caused during the plane accident 20 years ago. This brings her back to reality. Kyra then looks at a particular spot consistently. Her daughter comes running toward her and asks, "Mom, why have you been staring at the same spot for so long? You're so busy looking at that spot that you didn't even notice where I am." Kyra apologizes and hugs her daughter. Next, the reporter approaches Kyra and tells her that the businessman's condition has worsened. He urges her to come quickly as he needs her help. Kyra's gaze then falls on the artist, who is speaking quickly and continuing to draw. His behavior causes Kyra to become even more worried, and she starts shouting at the artist. The artist doesn't respond. Seeing this, the reporter approaches Kyra and tries to calm her down. Meanwhile, the businessman tries to reach for his phone. Just then, the artist takes the phone and shows it to the businessman. The phone contains a family photo. The businessman is actually dying and wants to see his family one last time. As he sees the photo, he finds peace and smiles as he passes away. Afterward, Kyra goes to the artist and apologizes for how she behaved towards him. It's then that Kyra notices the old woman is no longer in her seat. She remembers that the old woman had gone to the washroom a while ago. Kyra wonders why the old woman hasn't returned from the washroom. As Kyra begins to panic, she bangs on the washroom door desperately. The air hostess, noticing her mental state, thinks that Kyra might not be well. She tries to get Kyra to sit back down, but Kyra refuses, insisting the door must be opened first. The air hostess quickly opens the washroom door, but inside, there is no sign of the old woman. Just then, Kyra stands near the old woman's husband, and suddenly, his eyes open. They remain white, and without warning, he attacks Kyra. In an attempt to defend herself, Kyra steps backward, falling onto a seat. Dark, black hands appear, attacking her. Kyra screams in fear as she realizes that she's seated in row number 19, the same row she was in during the plane accident in her childhood. After a while, Kyra regains consciousness and gets up from her seat. She finds herself facing the dead body of the old man, still in the same position as before. As she moves forward, she sees another shadow, which terrifies her. She hurries toward her daughter and insists that they must leave the plane immediately. The reporter tries to stop her, but suddenly, blood pours from his eyes and he loses consciousness. At the same time, an air hostess starts to cough out water. Her eyes turn white and she collapses, eventually dying. This sight unnerves Kyra. She quickly rushes to the artist, grabs a sketchbook, and flips through it. She realizes that all the people the artist had drawn are now dead and that she will be the next to die. Before Kyra can ask the artist anything, his body suddenly turns to ash and dissipates into the air. In horror, she grabs her daughter's hand, trying to stay calm. Kyra moves towards the pilot's cabin, but both the reporter and the air hostess try to stop her. Undeterred, she continues, and suddenly, a mysterious force lifts the air hostess into the air, pulling her along with it. As Kyra watches, blood begins to pour from the reporter's head, and he collapses, bleeding out. Now more terrified than ever, Kyra breaks into the pilot's cabin. However, to her shock, it's not the pilot's cabin she finds, it's another cabin of the plane, and all the seats are empty. This cabin eerily resembles the one from her childhood, the one she had boarded during the plane accident. She moves forward and opens the door to the pilot's cabin. The story reaches its gripping climax as Kyra becomes aware that she is trapped in a loop. No matter how far she goes, she keeps returning to the same plane cabin. She realizes that she's stuck in a time loop, unable to escape the events of the past. Then, she spots her daughter sitting in row number 19, calling her to come closer. As she approaches, Kyra notices a shadow near her daughter, and upon closer inspection, she sees it is the old woman from her childhood plane accident. The old woman speaks to Kyra, revealing that before the plane crash, she had tried to put Kyra to sleep and prevent the deaths of both Kyra and her mother. However, the accident happened and Kyra's mother died. The old woman then offers Kyra a chance to go back in time and alter the course of events to prevent the crash and save her mother. With a wave of her hand, the old woman uses her magic to release Kyra from the loop. Kyra finds herself transported back to the past before the plane crash occurs. She sees herself as a young child, surrounded by the passengers in their seats, while the old woman and her husband are seated behind her. The old woman's husband suffers a heart attack, and Kyra's mother rushes to help him, just as Kyra would later help others in the present timeline. Kyra's daughter sits in row number 19, as she had said. Kyra and her mother are seated in the same row, determined to save themselves. Despite their efforts, Kyra's mother succumbs to the heart attack, and Kyra is left alone, with only her own life to carry on. Kyra is then thrown back once more into the past, where she is a young child again, witnessing the events of the plane crash. As in the beginning, Kyra's mother loses consciousness. In a desperate bid to save her, Kyra carries her mother and lays her in row number 19, just before the crash happens. In the end, Kyra and her mother are the only survivors of the crash, while everyone else aboard the plane perishes. This movie ends on a note of reflection where Kyra's actions in the past echo through time, symbolizing the heavy cost of fate and survival. Thank you for watching our movie recap. If you enjoyed it, please consider subscribing for more great content. Your support means a lot to us. Have a wonderful day.